Hello and welcome back to the 7th episode of Gaming Reversal. This is a podcast meant to bring you some of the greatest and most horrible gems of video game history to light. Today is July 18th, 2018, and I'm your host, Steven Vecchiarelli. Before I get started, if you have any game suggestions, comments, questions, anything of the sort, you can email us at gamingreversalpodcast@gmail.com, and timestamps for every single game discussed in this podcast will be found in the description on YouTube, Libsyn, iTunes, and Google Play. Let's get started. This week's games are South Park, Fractured But Whole, not, spelt the way I said it, but, Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2017, not the one from 2004, H1Z1 from 2015, Dead Rising from 2006, and Mass Effect from 2007. Next week's games we're actually cutting down because there hasn't been a lot of game releases, and honestly I'm kind of running out of things to look for to play. Are going to be Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, that's from 2003, The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, and Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, they're all very big games, so it's not like I won't be able to fill the time, but yeah, that's something to just put out there. So jumping right into it, South Park Fractured But Whole. So, South Park, The Stick of Truth came out in 2013. It was made by THQ, I believe. I could be getting this completely wrong. I can't remember. Published by Ubisoft. It was Matt Stone and Trey Parker's brainchild. They basically put kind of like a turn-based 2D side-scrolling, but not really. Like, it's a 3D environment, but with all South Park characters. And yeah, at the time I enjoyed it a lot. I really loved the comedy style of it. You play as a kid where you show up to the typical street where everyone lives, or the town of South Park, honestly. You show up, your parents are like, oh, this kid's so mysterious, what's so wrong with him, blah, 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 blah. And then you meet Cartman, you meet Butters, you meet everyone. So South Park Fractured But Whole literally just starts off right from the end of that game. The first game was based on, like, wizards and, like, medieval stuff. This is based on, like, the Coon and Friends universe, where it's more... I guess you would say actiony. You have like characters like Toolshed, where he has a screwdriver and stuff, and Cartman plays a raccoon. You can choose a bunch of different classes, but mainly, you're following the story of this kid trying to harness the power of your butthole, as ridiculous as that is. So you go into it. Going into it, I was just about to start ranting like I used to. So going into it, there's some good things and bad things, as there is with every game. So good things. The first game, you were very stationary. You were stuck in one spot. They added a grid system in this game where you're able to move to certain areas to cast and hit certain enemies. And, before it used to be just like stand in one place and cast, and stand in one place and cast, and then, yeah. So that's a good thing. Another good thing is I just like the overall universe a lot more than the Stick of Truth universe. Stick of Truth kind of got boring with certain things, but, so yeah, the universe is a lot better. Combat is relatively the same. They added some, like, hitting a button to cast certain things. I feel like that wasn't as big of a thing in the first one. Your butthole has special powers in this one, like you're able to absorb the universe or something like that, and then fart it back out. It's kind of weird. And then past that, I mean, I just enjoy the story. I enjoy the environment. I'm a South Park fan, so it's not like it's something that isn't foreign to me. Give me a second here, just so I can mark the time. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, some people were a little iffy on it because it didn't have a lot of what people were looking for as far as the game went. Like, yeah, it added a grid system, but... So with that, you get all these superpowers, and then you're a special kid, and I guess that's a little bit better than being a wizard. I don't know. So that's where we start to get into bad things. Bad things is you could have told me that this was made at the same time as the other game and they just added the grid system, and I would believe you. Because graphically, what are they going to do? It's a South Park universe. It's not like they're going to blow you away with animations or anything like that. And it's from a major studio or publisher with Ubisoft. So, that's right there. Not gonna go anywhere. I think it's also developed by Ubisoft, now that I think about it. I think the first one might have been THQ, but yeah. Also, they just recently put it on Nintendo Switch. It used to just be on Xbox and PS4 and PC, but they just recently moved it to Nintendo Switch, which is why I brought it up on this podcast. I was going to get it, but then I thought, it's not really worth it to play through it again, because that's another negative. The problem with these games is that once you play through them and you get the first jolt of comedy, it's not always going to be there when you play through it again. The first time around, these jokes are hilarious. They're so funny. And then the second time around, you're like, that's a little tacky. Or, every person's texting on their phones. And at first it's funny or whatever. Yeah. Another thing is, as far as South Park universes go, it is funny. But they went on the whole Cat P adventure, and that was a big thing, showing why some of the adults are being the way they are. And yeah, I don't know. You get taco superpowers from Morgan Freeman, but that I didn't find Morgan Freeman very funny. I found the challenge of fighting him pretty funny, because if you hit him enough, he just all of a sudden is I'm gonna fuck you up. But yeah, so then it also turns out something with I can't spoil it, but just the whole, it's not really a twist, but Cartman has this special thing, and then in the future it happens to be Cartman's blah blah blah. And yeah, I'm trying really hard not to spoil anything, but the overall story, I just was like, oh my god, this would be a shitty South Park episode. Yeah, and then you watch your parents fuck or something like that. It's kind of weird. So there's, I guess, if you're looking for just a continuation of the first game and you're fine with paying, I think it was on sale for $20 to $30. If you're fine with paying $20 to $30, getting your laughs, and then putting it aside, because I think they added DLC as a phone game and stuff like that, but I don't think they added story DLC. So if you're fine with that, then more power to you. Go buy it. I enjoyed playing it. I'm a big South Park fan, so I'm gonna buy it anyway. But I can't see where if you're not a South Park fan at all, jumping into this, I don't think you'd enjoy it at all. I think you'd feel like you wasted your money, especially if you played the first one and you just weren't interested. But at that point, why would you buy the second one? So yeah, I would, if I had to give a number rating, I'd give it probably a 5.5 to a 6, just because it didn't expand too much. It didn't develop into anything that really blew me away. So on to Star Wars Battlefront 2. I just realized I might shit on every single game this week. Fuck. I haven't had a week, for perspective, I don't think I've had a week where I've actually put down more than one game. The first week I shit on, when I had everyone on, I shit on Two Human and, what was the other one we played? Two Human and Kingdom Hearts. I just didn't like them at all. This week, it's not pretty. So on to Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm going to touch very, very briefly on this, and this is probably going to be a short podcast, because I don't... yeah. So Star Wars Battlefront 2. They already made Battlefront games before, and they're regarded as some of the greatest... greatest Star Wars games ever. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is universally loved. People loved the space battles. They loved playing as different Jedi and heroes and all that. So this one, I remember E3, they promised all this shit, right? And then it leaked that all this stuff was going to be hidden behind basically either really long times worth of paywalls. Not paywalls, but you could pay $10 and you'd get the character for free. If you wanted to play as Darth Vader, either you had to play for 120 hours or something like that to get enough points to buy Darth Vader, or pay $10 and you'd be able to get him for free. Under the $60 game, that's fucking ridiculous, because there's a bunch of different heroes. There's Rey, it's bringing in all the people from the universe. So before I start ranting about all that, I'll get into the. I mean, so in the plot, you're playing as some chick. She's Shiva from the episode or from the TV show The League, where you're trying to search. You're trying to search for some like imperial message. You meet up with a bunch of people. I think at one point you find Luke Skywalker, and then you also find Leia Organa, and yeah. So getting into it, I don't give a shit about the story. I played like maybe an hour of it, and I was like, I'm not feeling it. It just feels like your generic fucking story. Like I felt the rush when I bought this game back in November, I think. I felt the rush, or no, not. Yeah, it was on sale for Black Friday, I think. I think it went on sale for like $20 or $30 because it wasn't doing well. So I bought this thing like back in November, and I felt the rush because I was like, Star Wars The Last Jedi is coming out. I get really hyped for Star Wars stuff, so I played it. I regretted it like as soon as I bought it. Like, so I downloaded it, tried playing the single player. I was like, this isn't fucking interesting. I don't care about Shiva from the League. I don't remember what her name is. And then I tried playing the multiplayer. Multiplayer should be the what makes it worth it, because they said they were going to add real space battles, which were missing in the first Battlefront. They were going to add all different characters from different universes, all different maps for different universes. Like, it's going to be the prequels, it's going to be the sequels, and it's going to be the original trilogy. You'd have all these things. Kylo Ren would be in the game, but then you'd also have Darth Maul and so on. So there's a few different modes. There was like just your typical assault. I think it's just called Galactic Assault. You had a mode where you played as just heroes versus villains, I think. I don't know if it's called Heroes versus Villains. It might be called like Jedi versus Dark Side or whatever. That one you're just, I think it's 5v5 or 4v4, where you're just playing as 4 Jedi versus, or 4 light side characters. I can't say Jedi because Han Solo and all that are in the game. Versus like 4 dark side characters, Darth Maul, Boba Fett, whatever. And then there's a few others. I didn't play a lot of them. I played Blast because I think that one was just like stocks. Like, you were just killing people until you run out of lives to respawn. So that's almost like I feel like not World of Warcraft used to have something like that. There's another game I played that had something like that. I think Gears had that. That might have been what Territories was, or not Territories, Warzone. Yeah. And then there was, what was it at the time? Strike, I think, was where you had to do an objective, where I think you had to plant a flag or anything. That was the one I played the most because I like objective-based games. It's not just mindless killing and all that. And that's the point I'm making with this, is that after a while, it just becomes a Battlefield game. Like, yeah, it's supposed to feel like Star Wars universe, and like, yeah, you're a stormtrooper fighting the Rebel Alliance or whatever. But after a while, it just is a Battlefield game, and that's not what I'm looking for when I play a Star Wars universe game. Like, next week, we're gonna review Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. That's one of my favorite games of all time. It's like top 3. This game, I felt insulted. So let's go into good things. I liked the characters because they basically included everyone. I know that's always such a generic thing for me to say. But yeah, I liked that Rey was in it. I liked that Darth Maul was in it. I liked that Kylo Ren was in it. I liked that fucking everyone was in it. But I didn't mind space battles at all. I liked them. Yeah, they're definitely not a bad thing. I'm trying not to get to the negatives. We're running slim already. So getting into, let's just get into the negatives, so instead of me just leaving dead air while I try and think. God, where should we start? The paywall thing really bothered me a lot, where it was basically play 1 billion hours or pay $10, or I honestly don't remember how much it was because they nerfed it real quick once people figured it out from the demo that came out or the beta that came out. They nerfed the Christ out of it real quick, and then they removed microtransactions completely. And then they posted some Reddit comment that was basically like, oh, we want characters to have a lot of fulfillment for playing their characters, blah, 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 and working towards 120 hours. working towards unlocking all these characters. So they got in a bunch of shit for that. It's the most downvoted Reddit comment of all time. It's like almost 700,000 downvotes. Yeah, they globally got shit on with this game. So that's giving you perspective of why I hate this game. Another negative is it just feels like a Battlefield game, but I already touched on that. I don't know. I'm not interested. Another thing, maybe it's just me. I feel like the hero balancing is a bit ridiculous. Like, I feel like at one point this hero will be really good, and then they nerf him, and then another hero rises up, and then they nerf him, and then there's not any balancing. It's just nerfing until they're just shitty. Like, yeah, you're playing as a hero, but it doesn't feel glorifying. It's not like you're melting people. Like, I don't know, playing as X versus Y. So that was definitely a negative. Another thing to think about with the whole entire game, there's a capture the flag mode, but there wasn't like any new modes that blew me away. I think they added some recently, but this is back when I played it. There was like, what were they gonna add? They were gonna add like something like Showdown, where it's just a bunch of heroes with like almost like a search, not a search and destroy, but you're limited lives. I think they were gonna add that when I looked recently. I'm purposely spitballing here because it's hard to find good things about this game. So yeah, for $30, it's, at the time I thought I would be really excited for it because I was like, oh, it's Star Wars. What's the hate about this? EA has globally shit upon everything that is Star Wars Battlefront, and at this point I can't recommend anything related to it. I wouldn't doubt it if they don't come out with a Battlefront 3 after how the first two have gone. We'll see, but I don't think they've learned their lesson. I think they're just going to squeeze microtransactions in there eventually. I think they permanently removed them from the game, but it's not making anyone happy. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this. I'd stay away from it completely. On to, oh god, H1Z1. So I used to play this game a lot back in like December of 2015. I was a huge fan. It was a third-person battle royale game, also accompanied with like a survival mode where you would be on a server, almost like Rust, where you'd run around and you build database, or you build different bases and you do a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, it was very Rust-esque. I didn't like the survival mode too much because if you didn't come in before a server wipe, you'd just be running around an empty map. Like, people have looted everything and locked it in their base, and you can't do anything about it. It sucks. So yeah, we're not going to talk about the survival mode. We're going to talk about the battle royale mode. So at first, I loved the game. There was a diverse play style that hadn't been captured in a actual full-fledged gaming studio before. You hadn't, like, it was originally an Arma 3 mod. It could have been something even more before that. It was originally an Arma 3 mod, and then PlayerUnknown made it, and then it became this thing, and then finally I think War Z was out at the time, DayZ was out at the time, both of those did terrible, and then they finally came out with H1Z1, where it was meant to be behind a major studio, well, not major studio, but not an independent studio, a full-fledged studio with Daybreak, because they'd work on PlanetSide and stuff like that, and it's got Sony Online Entertainment for, you know, the other back end of it. There was a lot of work behind it, as opposed to just being an indie person making it a mod, like the same way Dota with League of Legends. So yeah, at first it was just like, yeah, there was bugs, but it was still enjoyable to play. It was only like $15, and you'd load in and you'd fight, and the parachuting mechanic was cool. Like, yeah, you could parachute in, and now Fortnite has the battle bus, or PUBG has the plane that drops you or whatever. But it would spawn you in a certain area. You would learn the spawns. You would learn the map. Everything about the map felt good. There wasn't, gun imbalance wasn't ridiculous at first. Like, it felt like the AK was good. The AR was good. It felt like all the main weapons were good. The shotgun, the AR, the AK. It was kind of annoying that, like, you couldn't have certain mechanics that are in the game now, but we'll save that for, I guess, the back end. So, you know, it launched. It had the H1Z1 showdown. That's where Ninja first gained notoriety. I know now he's recognized for Fortnite and all that, but he was like the first person to ever win that. He was also in the Halo scene, but that's irrelevant. Yeah, so H1Z1 was like on the up and up and up and up. So then they were like, all right, let's take some shit and we're going to make new modes, and we're going to start removing things that people use in the game. Like they got rid of prone spamming, which was a good thing. And then they got rid of seat switching in the car. It was a good but also bad thing, because it was like, what's so bad about someone switching seats in the car? They're like, yeah, it's not realistic. It's like, a lot of the game's not realistic. That's not the point of this game. Yeah, I didn't approve too much of that. So then they came out with Z2. There were some other things mixed in there, but whatever. So then they came out with Z2. They split into two teams. It was called King of the Kill, and then I think it was just called H1Z1 or Just Survive. It was one of the two. They split, and that's where they basically abandoned Just Survive. That pissed off a bunch of people that played it, all 5,000 of them. And then it became King of the Kill. And King of the Kill had like a new development team. There's a lot of not major faces, but a lot of their developers were behind it. Like their faces were out there. I defended it pretty adamantly at first. I liked that it was taking a more structured approach. They were giving like a leveling system. They were making gas camping not as bad of a thing, even though I was a gas camper at times. So they kept changing things and adding things and doing all this stuff. So then they reached a point where I guess it would be around season 3 in the game, where it just fell off the rails, in my opinion. Like they went and added, they went and got rid of like all the things I mentioned earlier, but then they also did this graphics update, and then they added this thing that's in most games, honestly, called Bloom, where if you have your mouse cursor or your reticle on a certain spot, you can control a spray like Counter-Strike, or some more serious games don't have like Bloom. They have like your gun's gonna have a recoil pattern, but not to the level of others. Bloom basically made it so your bullets would go anywhere. So there would be moments where you're shooting and you're like, how the fuck am I not hitting this guy? What the fuck is going on? So that was the start of it. Then they had some major server problems. There was desync issues where like on your end you wouldn't be surrounded by anyone, and then all of a sudden like it would catch up and you'd die, or there would be invisible people, so the game couldn't end. Like there would just be an empty lobby, or there would just be like you could see yourself by alone in the smallest gas circle, but no one else would be available, and then the game would just end and you wouldn't get a win. And yeah, that was a problem. They did a whole bunch of stuff. Grenades took forever to throw. I still don't know if they fixed that or not. It used to take so long to throw a grenade in the game. So they kept adding stuff, and that's where the game fell down, because then by that point PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds started to come out. Because they had like a good year where they were like the only ones in the market, really. Like there wasn't a lot of people competing. Fortnite wasn't nearly in any iteration out yet, and PUBG wasn't out yet. The only competitors they really had were Daisy and Warzy. So then PUBG came out with a bunch of stuff, and Daybreak kind of panicked. They added a bunch of stuff. They tried to fix things and made it worse. They switched to they had a CEO, whatever the top dog would be, the chief game designer, I guess his name would be. He left. I know a bunch of other major developers have left. They laid off half their staff, and it's not looking good. So with all that, you got like a bit of a timeline. So I can't even do good and bad with this game, because there was just like there was a point in this game where I had 800 hours in it, in like the span of like probably from December of 2015 to like July of 2016. I had like 800 hours, and I competed in this tournament for charity for them, and I did all this stuff, and now, that's where the game I felt like was at its height, and then it just fell to shit. Like I I can't honestly say to buy this game. Oh, it's not even, you can't even buy it anymore. You used to be able to buy it for $15 or $20 or whatever it is. Now it's free to play, but Fortnite's free to play. Like, why wouldn't you just get Fortnite? It's better. There's more of a skill, there's more of a skill gap with building in Fortnite. There's just a whole lot of things that Fortnite did that H1Z1 just couldn't develop on. H1Z1 almost feels like an arcade shooter at this point, but like, it's so unreliable, you can't trust the game to actually perform the way you want it to, or like there will be situations where you're like, this doesn't fucking make sense, but it happened, so I guess I gotta fucking suck it up and either keep playing or stop playing. And that's where I just reached a point where I was like, fuck this. So with it being free to play, with all that said, if you want a battle royale and you for some reason want to forsake Fortnite and you don't like building or something like that, try out H1Z1, but I do not fucking recommend this game at all. And, you know, it's just, I can't think of any good things left to say about it at this point. They tried to bring back the original map. The original map is still under this fucking system. Like, they added spawn selection in the game. Why? Like, you know, and then they got rid of it for this map because they wanted it to be more authentic to the original experience. That's fine, but the parachuting mechanics aren't the same as they used to be. So you'll just spawn and then you can't parachute too far. You'll just fall straight fucking down. Yeah, it feels like distance like isn't a thing anymore. If you're just thrown in this spawn point, sucks to be you. If there's no fucking buildings or anything, or if there's people going in those buildings, you don't have a second option. Vehicles are still a thing. Car 1Z1's a problem. Just the ending circle, it becomes, if you have a car, you fucking win. If you don't, you fucking lose. That's the way it is. They made the AR automatic. That pissed me off a lot, because I was like, it used to just be single shot, and then AK was the automatic. They just changed that. They fucked with the recoil patterns. At one point, the guns didn't even have recoil. They fucked something up there where they were like, yeah, we're not gonna add like a recoil pattern to the gun. It's just gonna shoot, and you gotta control where you gotta aim your reticle after. It's not gonna just, you know, generically. It was really bad. What else is a fucking problem? Like, they added like hotkeys to medkit and hotkeys to bandage and shit, but that doesn't fix the overlying problem with this game, is that the development team just lost it. They got outclassed by PUBG and then Fortnite, and now they're trying to play catch up. In the studio, I wouldn't doubt if this game doesn't exist within the next year. Like, they're just like, we're shutting down production because it's not doing well. And I mean, have fun playing at this point, because the thing is, I stopped playing probably like permanently, probably around December of 2016. I was like, I'm just gonna not fucking play it. And then I played it again recently. Like, I would play like maybe once every few months, and then I'd be like, it still fucking sucks. And I tried playing it again recently when the new map was released, and I was like, all right, let me get into it. The thing is, there's like a player base of like 9,000 people on this game. On that player base, they didn't stop playing in that time span, so they know all the things to do. They know all the things. So if you're coming into this game for the first time, you're just gonna get absolutely destroyed and have fun. Like, I don't know. If you still love H1Z1, have fucking fun. But I'm done with it. So on to Dead Rising. Dead Rising is actually the only good thing about this week. Like, it's a top 10 game for me. Came out on Xbox 360 a long time ago. It was recently remastered and put onto PC. It was a zombie-based game, zombie third-person, not platformer, but like action. I don't know. You're running around a mall in a town called Willamette, trying to search for different survivors, and you're trying to find the story behind why all these zombies suddenly came out of nowhere. You're playing as a photographer named Frank West. He kind of has an attitude. Yeah, you're running around. You're taking pictures. You're discovering hidden locations in the mall. There's different. Everything can be a weapon. Like, you can use a TV as a weapon. You can use a bench as a weapon. You can use records as a weapon. You can use a nail gun as a weapon. There's all different things throughout this mall. There's different sections. It's made by Capcom, by the way, so that gives you perspective on as far as the team, because like at the time I was like, this is one of the best games I've ever played. so you delve a bit deeper into it and you find out that like, oh, the government's behind some of this shit and they're trying to cover it up. And then, you the whole thing is based within this time loop of being stuck, not playing, but being stuck where you have to get out of this location within, I think at first it's 72 hours of in-game time. In-game time does not translate well to real time. Like, I think it's like 5 minutes in-game is like an hour. No, I think 5 minutes in real life is like a day or like an hour or something like that in the game. I don't remember. Because I used to be able to measure that back when I tried to do the 7-day survival mode and all that. So, also there's unlockables. So I'm jumping way too much. So going into good things, there's unlockables in this game. Like if you kill, I think it's 53,964 zombies or something like that. Something in that. It's a very specific number. It's supposed to be the population of Willamette. If you kill all of them, you get a special Mega Man blaster that'll basically one-shot everything in the game. That's a good thing. I like that. It's like a built-in side quest of doing this, and if you do different attacks, it'll level you up with this thing called PP. It's power points, I think is what it stands for. And as you level up, you get different attacks, so you get more life or you get more item capacity. There's a whole bunch of things, like maybe you'll learn a move that'll keep you from taking damage whenever you fall, because you can just use that move as an alternative, and wow, you don't take damage. Yeah, that's a plus. I mean, you unlock a Mega Man suit. There's a lot of side quests, and that gives the game a lot of replayability in my mind, because when it finishes, you can just continue where you were before. Another plus is the survivors aspect, like the time aspect. Maybe that should be in the middle, because I like that it's forcing you on a path. I like that like there's a sense of urgency. Like you can't just load into this game and just be like, well, I'm just gonna get every survivor and time says otherwise. It's not gonna work that way. Like if you don't get it within a certain time, that survivor's not there anymore. They're dead in the game. Like that's that. So I like the time loop, but it's also a negative because you don't want to be under that time loop sometimes. Another positive is all the weapons. Like I said, I like the weapons. I like that. But I also like where you'll discover like a shortcut that'll make it easier to travel around the mall. Or you'll find a certain thing that'll just make your entire life easier as far as the game goes. That's another positive. Like I like it's like a Metroid-esque aspect where you're finding links between things that makes it easier on you in the future. Another thing to bring is finding like a hidden location. Like that doesn't really go hand in hand with like the linked paths, but finding a hidden location is like in a certain plaza in a certain area, you'll find a special weapon there, and then you can use that weapon against a boss fight or anything like that. It might be a gun, it might be a katana or whatever. Like you eventually reach a point where you're able to navigate to a certain plaza, find a certain thing, and then it'll be there the next time, and then it'll be there the next time, and then you learn the certain areas, and then it helps with the replayability because you're not just like blindly looking for weapons around the mall. Yeah, that's definitely a plus. And I mean, I can rant more and more about that, but so let's get into negatives. There's a walkie-talkie system in the game that's pretty annoying. There's this guy called Otis. He's like in the survivor base in it. There's a survivor base where he's calling you from a certain thing with, it's like a walkie-talkie, and the thing is you'll be in the middle of combat and all of a sudden you'll get a call, and then you answer the call, but then a zombie hits you, and then he calls you back and he's like, what the fuck, asshole, like that all that stuff. Yeah, it gets really annoying and repeated, and I don't enjoy it. And also, like, if you're not in a certain spot at a certain time and Otis calls you, it just, like, you miss that call and the survivor's not there anymore, and then it's like, so there it's where the time aspect gets annoying, because you want to have all the survivors and you want to learn everything and you want to get all the achievements and stuff, but you can't do anything about that. Like, I don't know. The walkie-talkie aspect got really annoying, and they fixed it in Dead Rising 2. Because, walking around with an army of zombies around you, and then you get hit by one, and then he gets mad at you. It was just infuriating. The time aspect I brought up could also be a negative, but we'll leave that behind. Also, damn it, that was a good thing. A good thing in the game is that there's different mini bosses. They're called psychopaths, where they have different things they do. One might be a butcher that you find like in a basement in the mall, or one might be like a cop that's taking some of the survivors prisoner, and she's like a fat fuck, and she gives you attitude. Or like a pyromaniac, or dude with a machete in the hardware store. There's a whole bunch of different psychopaths, and it's cool because you can go to a certain area and then you find survivors and you get loot, and then they'll drop like a special weapon that'll always be there. Like the one in the Wonderland Plaza will drop a chainsaw that can basically melt anything, and if you combine it with certain magazines that you find in the mall, that'll upgrade your chainsaw to basically be unbreakable and do more damage and all that. So yeah, there's a lot of good back end stuff you could do there. So that's another positive, is the psychopaths. A negative also is that sometimes there's so many zombies on the screen, the Xbox would struggle to render all of it. It's smooth on my computer because the game's 12 years old at this point. But that I could see how, if the game's struggling, it doesn't make it very fun, like if it's choppy and all that. I remember that being a problem on Xbox 360, but if you get it on PC, it shouldn't be an issue. Another thing I could think of, let me think. I didn't really care for any of the camera work. Like, yeah, I know it's a thing. Like, you take a picture of an explosion, or you take a picture of a zombie eating someone, or anything like that. I couldn't give a shit. Like, and they kind of force it on you at certain times, because they're like, take a picture of this sticker and blah blah blah, like, do it at this point. Like one of the psychopaths, you have to take pictures for him, and I don't like it. I don't know, I don't like the picture aspect. That's just it's not in Dead Rising 2. They added it in Dead Rising 2 off the record because you play as Frank again, but it's not in Dead Rising 2, and that was one of the benefits of Dead Rising 2. Past that, I mean, it's not very easy for me to find problems with this game. I like it a lot. I genuinely enjoy it. For $10 to $15, you get your money's worth out of it, because it's probably at first like 15-hour game probably. But if you replay it, and then you didn't want to rub my nose on the mic. If you replay it, or if you keep doing different things, it eventually can become like a 50-hour game, or like I probably put over 100 hours in it between Xbox and my PC and all that. So I'd recommend it. Final game for the week is Mass Effect, and I'm just going to talk about it very briefly because it was very difficult to get it to run on my computer. It was a 2007 RPG made by BioWare. It focused on a squad of people. You're playing as Commander John Shepard, where you're basically the commander of a ship trying to search for different alien things throughout the universe. So, sorry, I forgot to mark the timestamps for the last one, so I gotta make a note. It's a free fucking podcast. Sorry if I can't edit this out. There's no point. So, with the third-person style, it reminded me of Knights of the Old Republic, because they added like a turn-based system. Knights of the Old Republic has a turn-based system as well, but like you're able to run around. In this game, you could shoot people and then all that. But what annoys me about this game is that Knights of the Republic, you could switch between the characters. I don't know if you eventually can with Mass Effect, but what annoyed the Christ out of me is that trying to switch between characters, you can't do it. And then like the only way to do it is by holding spacebar and then selecting like certain guns on the right and setting like a hold position or whatever. And then I feel like I would do that, and then my characters or my companions would just die. Like, I don't know why they would just die. So that was annoying. Yeah, so I guess we'll start with negatives at first. That's one of them that I just said. I gotta think of this in my mind. Another thing is that the game was praised for its like RPG aspect, where you can choose certain dialogue options and all that. And I didn't feel it. Like, I feel like the animations and the voice acting, like, yeah, it's from 2007. It's 11 years old, but I feel like it didn't stand up to test the time, because, like, Knights of the Republic, I liked it, because you could just, choose certain speech options, and then it would cause certain characters karma. Like, in this, I think it's called Paragon or something like that. But I didn't enjoy the dialogue aspect. Plus, they're just referring to a whole bunch of different things that I didn't care about. And they had a codex in the game that if you read it, you'll learn a lot more about the characters. But I don't want to read. I'd rather hear about it. I also, I think I just said this. The animations, as far as facial, like, there is no emotion in the faces of these people. And I was trying to think of, like, games at the time that had facial animation that, like, showed different facial, like, the way people think. Grand Theft Auto 4, I know for sure had it. Like, because that was 2008, so it's around the time span. It's made by Rockstar too, so it's not like this was made by EA and BioWare, so it's not like it's like an unknown company. So that was one of them. But also, I don't know, like, I wasn't captured by the facial animations at all. And if you're having these talking scenes, I feel like you should have facial expressions. That's dumb to say, but I think eventually they did fix that with Mass Effect 2 and 3. And I know Andromeda had a bunch of problems on release. I don't think people liked Andromeda at all. They felt like it was necessary to the universe and all that shit. Also, there's another negative. Maybe it's because I came into it so late. The gun mechanics, I feel no oomph when I shoot something. Right? I don't feel like a powerful force. I don't feel like if I snipe someone, like, yeah, I just got that. Like, I just hear the shot, the gun cocks, and then the thing's either dead or I'm still standing there. And the recoil is there's way too much recoil on everything, and it feels like it struggles to be an RPG, but also struggles to be like a third-person shooter in the vein of like Gears of War with the cover system and stuff like that. I didn't like that. So then the final thing I'll bring up with all this, because like I said, I'm not going to talk about it too much, because I just didn't it for an 11-year-old game. I can't get it to run very well on my computer. I use a 2560 by 1440p monitor. It didn't agree with that very much. Like, I couldn't find the right resolution to fit the monitor. I just played with black bars at one point. I was just like, I'll just go with the 4:3 aspect ratio and I'll call it a day and I'll accept the black bars. I'll do this. But I mean, past it, like, I have the graphics on ultra. I have it on high. I have it on it, and it's like choppy, and like there's like problems with the what was I saying? Problems with the world where I could like see clipping in the environment and stuff like that, and that could just be the old system, and maybe it wasn't ported to PC. Well, I don't know, because from what I heard from most of my friends or anyone that played this game is that it was on 360 and they loved it on 360. But for me, it just doesn't run well on an up-to-date like modern computer for me. I know there's other people that probably went more into it and fixed these problems, but I couldn't give a shit. Maximum resolution I think you could play with, by the way, it was 1280 by 720, I think, which also pissed me off because it's a 16:9 ratio, obviously, but that pissed me off because Grand Theft Auto 4 came out a year later, and it had the capability to go up to 2560 by 1440, and so did other games that I played since then. Like, I played a bunch of games on this podcast, and they've had the capability to go up to that resolution. I'm pretty sure BioShock had the capability to go up to that resolution. Not even on the remastered version, on the original version that I first played before I realized I had the remastered version. Like, how did they not figure out? I don't know. I felt like resolution just was the main problem in the game, because it's also a G-Sync monitor, and that probably didn't agree as well. So it was hard to make it run, and honestly, I just reached a point where I was like, this game's not worth it. It's not capturing me from a gameplay aspect, and that's just bothering me. So with that, that's all the games for the week. Like I said, I was going to shit on a good majority of them, and I did. Like, even Fractured Well Whole, that I enjoyed a lot, I only gave it like what would be a 6, because it's like, it's playable, but it's just a continuation. Yeah, so we'll get into next week's games. Obviously next week it'll be Skyrim, KOTOR, and GTA 5. With that, If you want to email the podcast for any game suggestions or anything you could think of me to do or anything like that, you can email us at gamingreversalpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us at G as in Gary, R as in Robert _podcast on Twitter. We're on Google Play and iTunes. We're also on Libsyn. We're on YouTube. We used to have a website that's kind of in an under construction situation because it was kind of a disaster. And with all that, I've been your host, Steven Vecchiarelli. I'll see you guys in the next episode.